Welcome back to another Chris McPherson Show Daily Dose. We're talking the US Open and we're heading into day two. The tennis is certainly really heating up as we look at the draw so far and where things have gone on day one. Certainly some upsets. We talked about Alex Ayala, the Philippine superstar, on the rise and what she could do and whether she could actually cause the upset. She certainly did. She came back from 5-1 down in that third set up against number 14 seed Clara Towson and managed to get it done. It was an upset for the ages. Towson's been one of the emerging and in-form players pushing through, and now Alexandria Ayala becomes the first Filipino to win a singles main draw match at a major in the Open. Another to break that barrier was also Janice Tien, who became the first Indonesian to compete in the main draw of a singles major since 2004, and then also managed to get a win in the first round. So some surprising results, certainly in terms of that. But we've seen a couple of seeds drop out across the men's and the women's, most notably, as we said, Clara Towson, Kudermetova going down to Tien as well. But otherwise, it was reasonably as expected. We saw the likes of Jessica Pegula, Belinda Bencic, Victoria Azarenka go through. Emma Navarro got a win as well. So really positive results overall. Some good wins. Yelena Ostapenko too. That was the women's draw. But for the men's, again, not without surprises, I guess, on day one when we talk about it. Benjamin Bonzi came back from 2 sets all to win the fifth set. He was up 2 sets to love to win in 5. Brandon Nakashima took 5 sets to get it done as well. So certainly some interesting results. Aussie-wise, Jordan Thompson getting a win in 4 over Corentin Moutet was a positive as well. So really taking some positives as the Aussies, Daniel Medvedev, as I said, and Talon Griekspoor, the 2 seeds in the men's, to bow out. So certainly nothing too shocking there. We did think that Griekspoor was possibly at risk up against Adrian Manarino. So well done to him. Jakob Mensik get through in straight sets. Thomas Mahatch got through a lot easier against Luca Nardi than we certainly expected. Taylor Fritz went through against a wild card. Ben Shelton as well. So, some really good progress there. Rinky Hijikata going out in straight sets against Darderi from Italy as well. So Thompson, the main man for the Aussies, advancing through. Let's talk Aussies on day 2 and the matches to watch, however. And let's start with Adam Walton, who comes up against the 22nd seed Hugo Humbert, the Frenchman. And look, not a lot of time on hard courts for Humbert this year, despite his ranking being up at 23. Adam Walton not that far away from his highest ranking, still ranked in the 80s. He's played a lot of hard court tennis, as you can imagine, being on the fringes of the top 100. A lot of those lower tour events, indoor hard courts all around. And he's had a really strong record the last few years, a winning record the last 4 years on hard courts. Humbert has a winning record, but it's we're talking 8-6 here, so not quite the same. Both have come off some reasonably unexpected losses in recent times. Monfils knocked out Humbert in the first round of Wimbledon. Botic van der Zandschulp got the job done in Winston-Salem most recently against Adam Walton. But Walton will take some positives. He got through to the third round in Cincinnati, the second round in Toronto. He knocked out Daniel Medvedev in Cincinnati as well. And got through to, in a recent tournament, he lost Cabos to the semi-finals where he went down to Denis Shapovalov after beating Basafaretti and Duckworth on his way through there. So interestingly, both players have losses in the last few months to Shapovalov on their record. Interesting to see how this shapes up. Humbert should be the favourite on paper, but look, I don't think it's just a lay-down misère for him. Walton's going to be really challenging. Humbert, as I said, ranked 23, 7 titles on the tour. Walton yet to break through for one. It'll be interesting to see, but I think that Humbert will be a little bit too strong, but he has got some blips on his radar in Grand Slam tournaments, so it wouldn't be beyond him to serve one up here that wasn't quite at his best. But look, this is a guy that's been on tour for nearly a decade. He's a fairly experienced player, and I think Humbert will get this one done. Maybe in 4. Walton might take one off him. It wouldn't completely shock me if he got the job done, but I'm going to go Humbert in 4. Moving on to the next of our Aussies, and we'll talk James Duckworth. We mentioned the man before. He comes up against US wildcard Tristan Boyer. This is an interesting one. Duckworth will head in as favourite for this. He's got a 15-12 record on hard courts this year. Very similarly ranked, actually, these two players. Duckworth coming in as a lucky loser, 106. He has been as high as 46, though, and that experience should be the difference. 16 Challenger titles versus 3 Challenger titles for Boyer. Boyer is 24. Duckworth is 33 years of age, but having come through qualifying, got some wins, obviously a loss in the last round of qualifying. But I think that playing on these courts will, serve him well. He took out Facundo Bagnis in the first round, the Argentinian, then knocked out fellow Aussie James McKay before losing to Hungary's Zumbor Peros in the final round in 3 sets. When we have a look on the other side for Boyer, his recent form, lost in the first round to young star Darwin Blanche at Winston-Salem, lost in the second round to Yuri Lehechka at Cincinnati, in the second round to Jakob Mensik at Toronto. So far from embarrassing losses, but similar sort of trends when you have a look at these guys in their recent tournaments. Much of muchness. My heart says to go with Duckworth here. My head is telling me that the home crowd might actually get behind Boyer. If he can come out of the blocks hard and fast, then he's a good chance here. I think if this goes deep, then Duckworth's going to come into his own. I think if Boyer's going to get it done, he basically needs to get it done in 3, maybe 4, and they need to be some quick set wins. But I'm going to go Boyer to get it done in 4, not with a lot of confidence. If it goes to 5, I think it'll go Duckworth's way. But again, if Boyer can come out fast and hard, then we will see him progress through on the back of the home crowd. Speaking of Aussies taking on hometown favourites, let's talk Alexander Vukic up against Jensen Brookby. 2 players ranked in the 90s have both been much higher, both been up inside the top 50, knocking on the door of the seedings. Neither of them had a great year on the hard courts, though, unfortunately, both losing records to this point. They've played twice before, including playing at Eastbourne on the grass earlier this year, and Vukic took that one out 7-5, 6-3. It was in the qualifiers, and they've also played in a Challenger tournament back in 2019 where Jensen Brooksby was the winner. So I don't know how much you can take from those form lines. We saw Brooksby got through to the third round at Cincinnati. He bombed out to Mute in the first round at Toronto, while for Vukic, it hasn't been quite the same. He lost in the first round to American Stefan Dostanek at Winston-Salem. He also lost it in the first round again after getting through qualifying against Nishesh Basafaretti, the American, in Cincinnati. He had a bit of run at Toronto where he got through to the third round where he went down to Francis Tiafoe after knocking out Cameron Norrie in an impressive win. So, look, there's form lines you could use to pull at to suggest that, one or either of these has better form than the other. Brooksby, if he can get his serve going, will be really dangerous here. But I'm actually leaning to Vukic to get the win here and knock out the American against the home crowd, hopes. So I'm going to go Vukic here. I like him. He seems to step up at some of these bigger tournaments, and I think he's got some pedigree to turn things around and start moving up the rankings now moving forward. We now head over to the women's, where we look at Priscilla Hon while we're on Aussie Watch. She'll take on Leolia Jean, the French woman. Jean, a really strong record this year, 39-23, so plenty of tennis under her belt. Hon has played a little less, but both, again, winning records on hard courts. Jean yet to have a losing season on hard courts, which is quite surprising. Normally the French much stronger on clay. She's had really positive records there as well. She's continued to move up the rankings, though. But when we have a look at these girls, not a lot to talk about in terms of form. Hon didn't make it through qualifying at either New York, Cincinnati, or Montreal. A little bit more form for Jean. She got through to the second round where she lost to Anna Samova in Cincinnati. Lost in the first round after qualifying at Monterey. Lost in the first round to Eva Lease in Montreal as well, again after qualifying. So not a lot of big ticket wins in recent times for either of these. You'd have to probably lean slightly to the French woman in terms of form, but far from convincing. She's ranked 30 ranks higher. Hon yet to break into the top 100. It's already spent 4.5 hours on court. So Jean should be fresher. I think she'll get this one done probably in straight sets, unfortunately, for the Aussie. That'll get it underway nice and early. That'll be one of the 1 a.m. starts. So next up, speaking of Aussies, we have Daria Kazatkina. This should be around 6 a.m. Aussie time. She'll take on Elena Rusa, the 70th ranked player. This will be, again, Rusa's probably got better form at the moment. She has a 23-15 record for the year, although she has come off the back of quite a few losses. Kazatkina's been very up and down, 17-19, 10-10 on hard courts. It's been one of her worst seasons in recent memory. Full stop, let alone on hard courts. The turn to Australian flag, the Australian flag next to her name, has not shown to help her. And we've seen this. She went out in the at first time of asking in Cincinnati. She went out in the second time of asking to Marta Kostyuk in Montreal. She did get to the third round in at Wimbledon before she was pushed out by Ludmila Samsonova, her former countrywoman. Lulu's son knocked her out in Eastbourne, and we can go back further. Similarly, though, for Rusa, she's managed to string together 6 losses now, which is not great, going all the way back to a loss in the final at Hertogenbosch in the lead up to Wimbledon. She's since lost to Keys, Siniakova, Raducanu, and Ito and Hailey Baptiste in the first round of a number of tournaments, having only claimed 1 set in all of those, which is a first set tiebreak against Madison Keys. So, look, if there's a time for Daria Kasatkina to turn her form around, this is it. She's got to get this one done in straight sets and advance through. She really needs to, match her seeding when you talk about it. She's seeded 15th. She needs to be getting through to the third, ideally the fourth round here, to be maintaining those points and continuing on. There's going to be some questions asked, and she's going to start to slide down those rankings pretty quickly. There's quite a cluster of players behind her in those rankings. The final of the Aussie Watch sees Talia Gibson, the young 21-year-old Aussie, ranked just outside the top 100, taking on Magdalena Frech, the Pole, who's seeded 28, ranked 33 at the moment. Frech comes in on the back of 3 losses, and not a great season, realistically. She's only won 10 matches out of 30 this season, 31, while Gibson at 32 and 20. Slightly different levels that they're playing at a lot of the time, but again, Gibson sniffing about the tour at the moment and having one of her best years. Whereas if you look at Frech, she's actually got a losing record on hard court, clay, and grass this year. She hasn't played on the indoor hards. She lost to Sorana Sestaya in the second round at Cincinnati. Julius Starodubtseva at Montreal. She did get through to the quarterfinals at Washington, where she knocked over in the second round Venus Williams, the 45-year-old American. We'll be talking about Williams a little bit later on. She lost to Mboko in the first round at Wimbledon. So not a great record when we have a look across her recent form. She's lost 6 of her last 8 matches. The only real, feathers in her cap, beating Mira Andreeva on the grass of Berlin in June. So, yeah, really tough, to really build a form line for her. So this is an opportunity for Gibson here. Probably a seed ready for the taking. The youngster, not a lot of expectation on her. I'm going to go Gibson to get this done in 3. Fresh's experience could come in handy, but I'm going with Gibson to get it done in 3. So looking forward to seeing hopefully an Aussie upset there. Let's now move on to the other matches to watch. And there's some big names getting around. Let's talk about this one. This is 2 unseeded players, 2 players who've well and truly been seeded. Peaks of 8 and 15 respectively for Cameron Norrie and Seb Korda. Korda will undoubtedly have the US crowd in his corner. He hasn't played as much tennis this year, only 24 matches on the tour. Norrie, 49 matches, a winning record at this stage, but not a winning record on hard courts. The natural surfaces much better suit Norrie's game, so a little bit surprising. These guys, look, I'm going to keep it nice and short and sweet. I think Korda gets this done in 4 or 5. When we have a look at it, Korda won the last match between these two. It was on grass. He's actually got a 3-1 record, including the only time they did play in a Grand Slam match on the Aussie Open hard courts back in 2022. So, going with Korda to bounce back here. And we know that Norrie nipping at the heels of the seeds, but as I said, 3 losses in a row. Not his best surface. I'm going to go with Korda in 4 to 5 on this one. Moving on to our next match, and it is one of the young stars to watch. We talked about him in our preview video. He probably hasn't lived up to the hype just yet. Ranked 45 in the world at 19 years of age. João Fonseca, the Brazilian star, comes up against Miomir Kekmanovic, who's ranked 42, Mr. Consistent. He's only 25, Kekmanovic. It feels like he's been on the tour a little longer. He has split his matches this season, 22 and 22. Fonseca, 30 and 13, a really strong record considering that he's possibly been considered to underperform. That hard court record, a lot of people not realising, 19 and 5, he's been quite strong on the hard court. So he's built a bit of a resume. He's continuing to build it now. He did get a shock loss in Cincinnati to Terence Atmain, the Frenchman, in the third round after knocking out Davidovich Fokina, and probably didn't perform his best in the lead up there. But if he can find back that early season form that he had on the hard courts, that's what we're looking forward to. When we have a look on the other side, Kekmanovic, he got through the quarterfinals at Winston-Salem last week, where he's knocked out by Seb Korda, who we know is certainly a handful. We talked about him a little bit earlier on. Similarly, though, bowed out early at Cincinnati and Toronto. When we go back to the grass, both these guys bombed out in the third round at Wimbledon. Novak Djokovic took out Kekmanovic, his countryman, in straight sets. It was a dominant display. Yarry got it done. Nicholas Yarry, got it done over Yao Fonseca. I'll get there eventually. But Fonseca had knocked out Fernley and Brooksby, 2 solid wins in his cap. It's an interesting one, this one. I think if it goes the distance, we know that Fonseca's a real scrapper. Kekmanovic, I just don't know whether he's got the shot selection and the athleticism to match it here. I think we'll eventually see Fonseca become a top 10 player, and I think this could be a chance for him to make a statement, claim another player inside that top 50 and continue to march on. So I'm going to go Fonseca to get this one done. In 4, I wouldn't be surprised to see Kekmanovic take the first or second set possibly, and let's see Fonseca go through there. Next up, this is an interesting one. We see Casper Ruud, who is the 12th seed, coming up against Austrian Seb Offner. Offner is an interesting player. This one, I'm really looking forward to seeing Ruud stamp his authority, make his mark on Louis Armstrong Arena here. This will be one of the last matches of the day in the night session. Offner has been as high as 37 in the world. Ruud, we know what he can deliver. Plays well on the hard courts, well on the clay. I think Ruud should get this one done, but Offner could be a curly one, and he might just rattle him early. Last time they played, Offner did take the first set off Ruud, so wouldn't be surprised to see Offner start well. I'm going to go Casper Ruud, though. I want to see a statement from the Scandinavian star. I want to see him get this one done in 3 sets to knock out Offner and just show that he is absolutely on and ready to rock and roll for this edition of the US Open. Finally, on the men's draw, let's talk about the number 2 seed, Carlos Alcaraz. He will come up against the big serving 67th ranked American Riley Opelka. Opelka, an interesting story in himself, 27 years of age. He's been up as high as 17 in the world. Absolutely going to have his work cut out for him against the 5-time Grand Slam winning 22-year-old in Alcaraz. Crazy to think that Alcaraz has more titles than he has years to his name at the moment. 23 titles on the tour, 22 years of age. Alcaraz 54-6, just 6 losses this season. 4 of those have come on hard courts. We know it's his least preferred surface. The natural surfaces suit him much better. But at the end of the day, he is an absolute superstar. We saw that he won that Cincinnati title, knocking out Nardi, Rublev, Zverev, and then the retirement from Sinner. While as we look at Opelka, he got through to the third round after he did knock out Alex de Minaur. He has knocked out Thomas Mahatch at Toronto as well. So certainly not without a fighter's chance, but he's going to absolutely have to bomb it out. And I'll tell you what, if Servebot Alcaraz turns up like he did early in Wimbledon, this will be over in a flash. Opelka can match it with him. It's going to be about who can take their opportunities on break, but I think that'll be Alcaraz, even if he has a few little stumbles. I wouldn't be surprised to see him drop a set, but I'm going to tip him to win this one in straight sets. So I think it'll be something like 3, 2, and 4. Alcaraz to waltz through to the second round. We now move over to the women's side, and we're going to have a look at former world number 2, Barbora Krejcikova. She comes up against Canadian rising star, just 18 years of age, won her first tour in Canada only a couple of weeks ago, Victoria Mboko. She's ranked up at number 23 in the world now. She is absolutely on the charge. Krejcikova hasn't played a lot of tennis this year, coming back, working her way through from injury, just 14 matches. But Mboko, that record, 53-9 this year. She has been in absolutely red-hot form. She's gone deep in a number of tournaments, as we said. She won in Montreal. She's had some runs in other tournaments as well. She's shown us some impressive form. That said, when we look at Cincinnati, which she pulled out of, we did see Krejcikova get through to the 4th round and start to get some form going. She could be a bit of a thorn in the side for Mboko here, but I think Mboko will get this done. We saw her fight back against Osaka. I think the crowd will get behind her as well. Krejcikova's experience, if she can come out of the blocks well, will be solid, but I think Mboko will get this done in 3 sets, coming back from 1 set down. Moving on, we now have Karolina Mukova coming up against former world number 1, 45-year-old US wildcard Venus Williams. This is a absolutely enthralling clash to have a look at. These two will have lots on offer. We know that Williams has had some wild cards and she's returned to tennis. She can't really take much from her form. She will be trying to spring an upset. She has 1 win to her name since she's returned to the tennis tour. when we have a look at it. But again, 5 years of losing records. Her last winning season was 2019, so that gives you a bit of an idea on where she's come to. She did beat Peyton Stearns in the first round at Washington, but she's coming up against someone in Mukova who knows how to put some wins together. She hasn't really got on a big run yet this year on the hard courts, but got through to the fourth round in Montreal, the third round in Cincinnati. Some losses that she'd probably like to overcome. She is 13-8 on hard courts, is where she spent most of her time this year. Funnily enough, these two have played in the first round of Wimbledon before, back in 2020, where Mukova won in straight sets 6-3, 7-5. And as much as it pains me to say what a story it would be if Williams knocked her out, I think it'll be a similar sort of result. I think it'll be maybe 6-3 will go. Williams to match it with her in the first set. But great to see the storyline. It's going to put bums on seats. Some people don't love wild cards. I think it's a great story seeing a 45-year-old Venus Williams still out there able to match it with the likes of Mukova. And I think she will match it with her for some of the match, but whether she's able to go with her for 2 full sets, I do doubt. Unfortunately, as we've seen with a number of players, age does get the better of us all. But loving the prospect of seeing Venus Williams back in action. While we're speaking about Americans, let's talk Alicia Park. She comes up against the world number 5, the 5th seeded 18-year-old Mira Andreeva. Andreeva, one of those players that, again, much hyped, has achieved more than someone like a Yao Fonseca, but just, again, not quite going as deep as we might have liked to have seen. She got knocked out in the quarterfinals by Belinda Bencic in Wimbledon. She's then only played Montreal since then. She got a walkover against Bianca Andreescu before losing to McCartney Kessler. When we have a look at the other side of it, we've got Alicia Parks. She got through to the semi-finals against Diana Schneider last week in Monterrey, which is some good form coming in. But how is the fatigue will be the question. She's gone out in the first round of both Cincinnati and Montreal against Krejcikova and McNally. So she also was knocked out by Belinda Bencic at Wimbledon, funnily enough, but in the first round. So, look, I think Mira Andreeva gets this done. Parks might be able to use the home crowd to keep it in this one. I'm going to go Andreeva to win this one in 3 sets. Maybe we'll see this something like 4-6, 6-4, 6-2, I reckon, for Andreeva to take this one out and move through to the second round. I really want to see her going deep and maybe even, utilising the hard court and the bounce here and pushing through into the quarters and semis. Next up, we've got one of the another former world number 2, Petra Kvitova, coming up against Diane Parry, the French woman. This will be one of the early games on grandstand courts from about 1 a.m. Australian time. Kvitova, a bit like Venus Williams, ranked well down the rankings. This time the 35-year-old ranked in the 500s. Diane Parry ranked just outside 100. This is an interesting one. Only one win this year for Kvitova. Went with the wrong K there. Beating Arina Camilla Bagu at Rome early this year in the lead up to the French Open. She went out in the first round of the French Open, went out in the first round of Wimbledon. Whereas we've seen Parry make a little bit of a run. She got through and lost to hometown hope Sunay Cartel in the third round at Wimbledon. So she's also managed to get a couple of wins under her belt in recent weeks. She did get a qualifying win last week at Monterrey, but didn't qualify through after losing to Kiwi Lulu Sun. I could make a narrative for both of these, but I just can't ignore that 1-7 record this year for Petra Kvitova. If she could find anywhere close to her best, she could blow Parry off the court. But I think Parry will get this one done, and I think it'll be another nail in the career coffin of Petra Kvitova, not having a great year. So we've got Diane Parry winning that one in straight sets. Looking forward to day 2 of the US, and then we'll be back again tomorrow for day 3 to talk about the wrap-up of round 1, the final matches. Of course, with that Sunday start, it does mean that round 1 is across 3 days. Really looking forward to seeing how this continues on. Looking for some more upsets. Undoubtedly, a couple more seeds will fall. It's nothing as wild as we've seen at a couple of the other Grand Slams this year, but they are getting chipped away. A couple down, a couple more to come. Looking forward to some Aussie stories, hopefully some runs going on. But as always, you can catch all of our updates on our social media. You can find us on Instagram, on TikTok, on X, and on Facebook at The Chris Mack Show is the home to find us. And, of course, make sure if you haven't already, you like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. It's where all of our videos drop, and you'll keep up to date with not just our daily doses, but also our weekly episodes coming out on a Thursday each week, the Around the Grounds, plus plenty more coming at you thick and fast on our YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell, and we look forward to talking some sport again with you very, very soon.